All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Very good evening. We are going to have a session for the above 1400 guys, and we are going to deal with tactics. It's mixed motif, so we will have positions at random. And this is the first position at hand. And when I ask questions to seniors, what I always expect is that they will answer after having given it a good thought. I don't want a careless, planless thought. So this is well, by the way, after every solution I would let you know the motif behind it. This one is the first one, white to play here. And hello to all those who are here. Yes, Jay, we have adverts. Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for joining on time. Hello to Vihang, Chinmay, Visan, Itesh is here. By the way, the thumbnail credit to Jay. Beautiful, really a nice creation there. Datta saying, yeah, there are ads there. Sure, we're growing. Queen G5 checkmate. By the way, I think we started off with a very easy one, did we? So Queen G5 checkmate is just as simple as it gets. The name of this motif is exposed king. So Queen to G5 is just checkmate, what people think. And the seniors, including Saumitra, I don't know what happened, but they just missed King G7. And I don't know what just happened there. So there was total overconfidence there. I don't know what it was. So that goes to show how much the other people copy Saumitra maybe. Sure. At the start of the lecture, I said don't be overconfident, and the first answer was a great example of overconfidence. So now Young says Bishop D3. Give me a complete line. What do you mean by grab the rook? This is not done. Give me a complete line. This lecture is for above 1400. Let me come on the main cam, really. I mean, come on. Seniors, this lecture is for you. This is not the under 1400 where on a trial and error basis, you tell me your answer. Be serious about it. Don't give me one line one move at a time. Provide the entire line with variations. I am not asking or giving prizes for the one who guesses first. Think about it. First of all, it was not checkmate. Second of all, now grabbing a rook or what, I don't know. Give me the variations. I won't say it again. This lecture is for above 1400, not for under 1400. And some of you are above 2000. Please make sure that you make this count, this session, okay? Let me bring the board now in front of you again. Do some calculation. There are no prizes for coming first. There are prizes, of course, praise from me for having done it correctly. It is important you do it. And that's why you had Omkar sir winning all the rounds yesterday. Huh? We talked about 3 points, speculated whether you are okay with 6 draws. Vyang saying, nah, 3 wins against him. Oh yeah? Give me one. Give me one. Give me one. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. All right. So anyway, now people are saying that it's Bishop D3 check. Then there is King F8. But why King F8? Why not King H8? Well, Rudra, it's okay. Excused. Celebrate. And then be with us post February 14th. And well, first of all, don't type it to retract the message. Don't type it. There are no prizes for coming first, typing something fast. No, sir. Get a hold on yourself. And by the way, now Bishop D3. But why King F8? Why not King H8? Look at the lines, possible lines. When you imagine this was your tournament game, you would need to calculate a little bit. Imagine now we are grooming you guys for classical games here. Sure. So what if King H8? Isn't there mate then if there is King H8? Calculate the line. Calculate the mating line if King H8. What happens? Bishop D3 check King H8. Then what? Calculate that line. Come on. I'm going to wait. There is no point just doing 15 positions at random. I have considered king f8 line. But what about king h8? And by the way, Vihang is also extraordinary. Here is what Vihang has typed, which is quite outstanding. Bishop d3, we're grabbing the rook, yeah, because the bishop's on d3, so queen won't support the rook. However, king h8, isn't there a checkmate if there is king h8? Think about it. King h8, then there is a checkmate line. Calculate that. Who will be the first to calculate that? Here we go. So queen g5 check, king g7, bishop d3 check, king h8, queen takes d8 check. There is no mate. There is no mate, he says. There is no mate. After king h8, there is no mate, Vihang says. Isn't Vihang 2100? No? So that's it. Bishop d3, king h8, queen takes d8. In any variation, that's it. We are winning the rook. That's all there is, this advantage that we have, he says. So bishop drops back. If the king goes to h8, queen h6 check, king h8, king g8. Then bishop h7 check, king h8. Not sure. Let's try bishop d3. King has indeed gone to f8 and queen takes rook. Okay, next one please. Now we are going to change it. Let me just be on the main cam. Congratulations for getting that first one out of the way successfully. Now we are going to change the motif. This was about exposed king, is it not? And now we will go on to the other one, which is again white to play here. No, sorry, beg your pardon, it is black to play here. Take your time. Black is in check, it's black to play. What is the best move you think for black here? Look at the coordinates. The black pawns go from 7 to 1. Don't make the black pawns come down. Now what's up here? Of course there is check, so needless to say the king has to move. The question is h4, h5, f5, what's the square and why? What's the square and why? This is nice. There are 3 possible squares. It's a check. There's no doubt about that. So for black, is it fine if we go to h4, h5, or is it the f5 square, and why? The reasons here. Let's give it a proper thought. Let's see what the above 1400 guys have to say. And yes, Omkar sir has shared the model answer paper with me. As you can read in the notifications, I will share that with all of you very soon. Seniors, our next lecture is on Thursday. I will play games with you again like I did the last time. And hopefully there will be a better performance than the last Thursday by you all. Jay, what do you think about this position though? Don't forget that we have a pawn on h3 and white has a pawn on c7, which our rook can take. Question is, if we put the king close to the rook, We are going to make the rook move. The main thing. Yes, Vardhan, this is interesting. So what's up? Do you think that we should put some serious pressure? Soumitra with the opinion, King F5 and King H5 look logical. We just have to strike out one of them. Why strike out? Just calculate and tell me the line. Tell me what white could play. That is called a line. I'm not going to strike out anything. So King F5, what happens? What does white play? King H5, what does white play? Is it rook G7 by force? If yes, then how do we proceed from F5 and H5 respectively after that forced move G7? Vishan says crazy position. Is the position crazy or I think we've got to force the rook, right? Because then we have H takes G2. What I'm saying is that if we push this rook, there is a good chance that we have this H takes G2 and we can go for promotion. So it's all the more important that we think about pushing that rook to the edge or maybe move out of the G file. Who knows? Then H takes G2 and, well, we could have our queen on G1. Vihang is still calculating. Chinmay would like an answer from you. Rudra with the interesting setup. Everybody liked your photo on the group, man. It was a good snap you shared. Jai, what's up? Samartha is also here, I'm sure. I saw his hello, sir, in the chat. So Samartha, what's up with this position? You're also going to groom you. Itesh is here. Granth is also here. By the way, Granth, by next Monday, I'll approve your ID. So you can play with your new ID there. King F5, if rook G7, then H takes G2, rook takes G2, King E4. Really? Whoa. Jay is thinking King H5 after rook moves, then H takes G7. Jay, what are you talking about? How is H takes G7 possible, Jay? Coordinates, Jay. Chinmay with the answer. King F5, supporting the F pawn. Then rook G7, H takes G2, rook takes G2. Rook takes C7, winning because both have got two additional pawns. How about this line that I would probably ask you to consider? How about this line? Well, king to H5, rook to G7, then you have rook takes C7. Is that possible, winning a pawn like that? And if rook takes, then pawn takes, is that possible? Or no? Not possible? Is that the way to promote? No? Alright, king F5. Now let us divide it into camps. The blue camp and the green camp. That's it, people. Now you got to tell me which camp you belong to. The blue camp or the green camp. Time to now vote. Jay saying green camp. Saumitra has voted for the blue camp. Chinmay, Samartha, Vihang is yet to answer anything. Rudra, I wonder. Yeah. I think they like the idea of king F5 because we keep supporting that F pawn. There is no doubt about that. So, okay, king f5 is the best move. Rook g7 as we all thought. Now the question is, do we take this or do we attack the rook? Guys, honestly, I want your opinion here. These moves are tricky. Should we take the pawn on g2 or should we push the rook one more time? Is that going to work that way? Vyang says, no, just take that. That's it. Just take that pawn. I'm going to take that. Oh, and he has moved the king to f3. So now we cannot promote because of the rook. We cannot push the pawn because of the king. So now what's up, guys? There's a sudden twist in the story. Now what? King f3. Blue camp was winning. And now how to continue from here? Rook takes c7. That's it. Rook takes c7. Then rook takes g2. And remain a pawn up. That's it. Ooh. Sure? Everybody likes rook takes c7. Nobody is saying let's first queen. Then rook will have to take the queen. And then we will take the pawn. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. Alright. So rook takes c7. Rook takes pawn. The computer still wants us to keep going. It's not over. Now what? Now we are a pawn up here. Is there a concrete solution now? Oh, this is good. You know what? So what's up next? Rook h7 says we hung. So he's saying let's go to h7. Let's plan a check here and keep pressurizing that pawn. How many people like that idea? That is a very interesting idea. Rook h7. Let's aim for rook h3 check, which looks incredibly deadly. And if king e2, well, there is a pawn fork, f3 check. Yeah. People like that idea. So rook h7 is push the pawn. Is push the pawn. And still it's not over. Do we just take the pawn? Are there any tricks up his sleeve? Do we just take that free pawn? That's all there is to it, really. Nothing there, right? Just take the pawn, right? Just take the pawn. That's it. That is just brilliant. 2 out of 2 so far. 2 out of 2. Now that's not bad at all. 2 out of 2 is not bad at all. And now here is the next one. This one is going to be white to play. It is white to play. Take your time. Let's count the material first. Queen for both. A couple of rooks for both. 3 minor pieces for white. 4 minor pieces for black. Ooh. White's pawn structure looks pretty intact with 6 pawns. Black also probably, well, he has got more pawns, right? 7 pawns. But look at that pawn on a4 not doing much. So it's white to play here. Boy, this is interesting. So what's up? Do we just... What do we play here? The f7 pawn is hanging. Pointer. The f7 pawn is hanging here. Calculate the line if you can. If the line is forced, I would love it. If it is forced, not otherwise, of course. What's the line here? Can we force some issues here? If we take with the pawn with the knight, knight takes f7, we set up a discovered check after the knight moves from the queen. But our queen is hanging. How many people notice that? Our queen is hanging. The knight on f6 is attacking our queen already. So do we start with the queen then? If it's queen takes f7, check, then king d8 is forced. Do we have anything really after that? Ooh. Do we have anything after that? Queen takes f7 check, king d8, queen g7. Okay. Soumitra himself has shared the line and himself has put a question mark, making his own opinion dubious, which is strange. This one, queen takes f7, he says, check, king d8, knight c6, check. Why will he move the king after that? Wouldn't his knight take our knight? This one, he has a knight here on a5, so would a knight take on c6? That's my question, this one, with some crazy idea. Why wouldn't his knight take our knight on c6? So this one with some crazy idea. Don't do that. It hurts. Rupak has just joined us. He had some exam, he says. It was his last exam paper. Well, by the way, what was the subject, Rupak? How did it go? Let us know, please. Let everybody know. Continuing our ideas here. Queen takes f7 check, king d8. What's the accomplishment after queen g7? I don't know because there's rook g8 for him. Maybe knight f7 was the idea, but there's king d7. So nothing really major there. I don't know. Crazy. Well, now let me ask you. Let's take it. If it is too difficult to see the entire line, well then in that case, let me just ask you. Do you at least agree that queen takes f7 is the first move? How many people say damn sure that's right? The first move is queen takes f7. Type it in the chat. But how many people feel, I repeat, the question is, how many people think, forget about the line, forget about the line. How many people think queen takes f7 surely is the first move? There's no doubt about that. But yeah, Soumitra totally agrees. Like that has to be the first move. Vyang has some ideas. So push the pawn to d6. If bishop takes d6, then queen takes f6. The knight is hanging. Rupak says history and Marathi, and he secured 18 out of 20. Man, with quick maths, that's 90%. And in history, he got 20 out of 20. I'm good at that. It's 100%. Magnificent. Let's see if you get 90 to 80% in tactics here today. So I'm going to start with queen takes f7 check, which is the best move. And I pretty much like the idea of pushing the pawn to d6. So bishop has taken it. And therefore queen takes f6, which will be a deadly looking fork in addition to a piece that is already won. Vihang was the first to share this. Absolutely mind-blowing. Now that's a sort of calculation that will improve your performance. And then we can hopefully have some great ideas when you play against Omkar sir here on Monday next week. Next one is going to be black to play, and it's not white to play, it's black to play. Let's see if you can find out what to do here. There are choices. So what are the choices? We are in check here. So do we take the queen, or rather do we take the rook and give the queen for 2 rooks? Do we move the rook and give the queen? The pawns are moving from 7 to 1, remember. So that pawn you see on e4 is not supporting the queen on d5. Crazy ideas, this one especially. Watch out. That pawn is not supporting the queen. It's going forward, buddy. It's headed for e3, e2, and e1. So queen takes the line, Jai. Calculate the line, Jai. Calculate the line. Even if the first move is obvious. Well, actually, if the first move is obvious, then the line should be obvious. Queen takes g5. Rook takes g5 check. King takes g5. Then king e3. And then king f5. We defend the pawn. Grunt says it looks like a drawish position. Disagree. I disagree. We have an extra pawn on a6. Grunt, we have a pawn on a6. King d4. What? How can white king suddenly come to d4? How can white king suddenly come to d4? King e3. How can king come to d4? I don't know. Samarth Nijapkar agrees with the idea. I'm going to do that. So queen takes, and rook takes, then king takes. Oh, he is not even bothered pushing the king. He thinks that it's just a pawn push. So now do we go for this move? Will it allow him to stalemate or what? Crazy. Important. What do we do here? Do we push the king? Now green camp and blue camp again. The green camp or the blue camp? What is right here? Do we, is there a stalemate idea getting opposition? Or do we play king f4 and get the opposition? Jay says green. Everyone is going for team green. However, Saumitra is saying blue camp. Well, if we play the blue, then he will play king e2. Then after we play king f4, then he will play king f2. Breaking news, he will have the opposition. He will have the opposition. Vihang also supports the blue camp. Wow, what's up? And why? Guys, what's up with the seniors? Let me say, if we play the blue arrow, your opponent is going to play king e2. Then after you take this square king f4, he will come back and he will have the opposition on f2. Do seniors agree with that or no? Triangulation? What triangulation? What's up? Buddy, what's happening here? So king f5, he will play king e3. How smart is that? He will play king e3. Whoa, 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 give me a break here. King f5, he will play king e3. Okay, let me take your line, okay? Yeah. So if we play this blue thing, he plays the red thing. Then you are saying, why will we go king f4? Let's go king f5. Okay, sir. Then he will go king e3 and you will only dream to come to f5. Have you given that a thought? Then king e5. Then he again goes back. Then he again goes back. Let me calculate that also, if that makes you happy. So this one and this one, and then you play this one. Then he plays here. Then you're saying we'll go to e5, and then he goes back again. And doesn't matter on what side you come, he will go for the opposition. Ooh. What? If we go king e5, he will drop back to e2. Then king d4. Fine, if king d4, then you have king d2. He got the opposition, buddy. If we play the blue thing, if you then go king d4, he goes king d2, he goes into the opposition. Ooh. You notice that, right? That's opposition, right? Calculate it. King c4, king a4. Oh, you want just to gobble up that pawn. Okay. So let's keep going and going and going and gobble up that a4 pawn. Yeah, that can be one idea. That can be one idea. Let's go all the way. Let's grab that pawn on a4. c4, c2, yeah, sure. And then we can, well, we will be left with a rook pawn. Remember that thought. We will be left with a rook pawn. Does white king have enough time to come to a1 and b1? That's the only thing now to decide. For a moment, let's assume if we play king f5 here, what happens? If we play king f5, what happens? We take opposition. How about going in the direct way? How about doing that? Does that work? Less time. Okay, it less time. Okay. So we have two pawns. We can move the e pawn as soon as white leaves the square of the e pawn. That's the whole idea. That is the whole idea. The only thing to accomplish is even with our extra pawn, white should not be able to come back to a1, b1. That's a very boring game. We will be left with a rook pawn. That's the only consideration. King f4, if he plays a5, that's a draw, he thinks. Really? 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 If we play king f4, he plays a5 and it's a draw. If we are going to play e3 after that, and I'm afraid the same logic applies. Okay. It's interesting, such positions, and I'm loving this discussion with you. Checking out confidence and checking out how ready the seniors are. By the way, I want Granth and Chinmay to increase their participation a little bit. Here is the thing. Chinmay has created a very nice video for his sports at school. This time it's virtual sports, and he's created a chess tactic demo, a 5-minute video for the school. I watched that video. Chinmay, with your permission, later I will like to share that. That's nice. So let's go ahead and, well, we have to select one move, and I would probably go for this. I'm sure that in either case, yeah, he's saying a5 is better. Now we'll study this in detail about why this is the way this is. If I go back and calculate, if I play this, now he says a4, and I play this check. The point being that he has any move that draws. If I go here and then here, and he goes back, then I probably would try to go here somewhere here. Then he goes here. Then I go for check maybe. I go here. He goes here. I probably want to win this pawn. I take. And now this one. There you go. And now, oh, there you go. See, that's the huge calculation I was talking about. That is the calculation I was talking about. The a1, b1 game. Now, all white has to do is to just keep playing a1, b1, a1, b1, a1, b1. That's all. And it is a draw. I'm sure that you enjoyed this position. I have enjoyed this position. Fantastic. The a1, b1 game. Please be mindful of that. Although, yes, the idea is to sacrifice one pawn and win with the other. When we are left with a rook pawn, all the opponent has to do is to go a1, b1. Remember this idea. This is nice. This is nice. Very, very important. So always calculate if the opponent king will have enough time to come to a1, b1. And if yes, wow, that's not a great thing to do. That last position was incredibly interesting. There's no doubt about that. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Absolutely. Okay. Now let's go ahead and deal with the next position. For this one, I would like to go ahead and take you to a position which is white to play. Here we go. It is not black to play. It is white to play. Let's see. This is typical king and pawn ending. White has got 6 pawns. Black has got 7 pawns. And yet, for some reason, white is better. Why is white better here? Yes, Chinmay, it was an enjoyable position that taught us a lot, especially the time it takes to get to a1, b1. Focus now on this one. White is already a pawn down in this position, 6 pawns to 7 pawns, and yet for some reason white is better here. Why? Why is white better here? Can he create an outside pass pawn? Yes, this is the pawn ending, king and pawn ending. What's the best way to create a passer here? Now seniors, utilize this. Maybe you play the opening and middle game well with Omkar sir and you reach this position. Imagine you are white with the pawn down, but an opportunity to win. Hey, so how to achieve the pawn break? What's the best technique? Is it just taking on c6? Is it challenging the opponent for an en passant by playing g4? Did Ojas play yesterday? It's a question. Yes, it's a question. Seniors should answer that. Did Ojas play yesterday? He's yet to complete one tournament more. I'm not going to add him or do anything until he does that. Was he there? I doubt that. Vardhan says, no, he did not play. Okay, so that's still there, still pending. Spruha chess, we're missing him. Got it, Vardhan. He did not play. So how to achieve the pawn break? This one with some crazy idea. D takes c6. Then it says B takes c6 and b5. If A takes b5, then a5 is an outside passer. And I like that idea. I like that idea. So it is D takes c6 and simply b5. Oh, it is wrong. Oh, the overconfidence. Oh, the overconfidence. Why is that wrong? Why is that wrong? Seriously, eyebrows raised. Why is that wrong? B5 is wrong. Breaking news. Seniors, B5 is wrong. What? A5 is the answer. A5 is the answer. Because after A5, now we have this. The idea was exactly what Saumitra wanted, but this is how it will be executed. Small things, big impact. Small things, big impact. Not B5 immediately. That was winning had black taken A takes B5. But hey, what if C takes B5? Let's go back. A5 always wins. The last position also A5 always wins. Yeah, I'm sure. Now let's consider what happens if B5 here. If B5, then there is C takes B5. And then there is C takes B5. A takes B5. And there is A takes B5. Even if it doesn't take it and moves on, well, black has a passer. So have to take that. And then king here, king takes pawn, and now after this pawn is lost, black has a passer. It will be a pretty much drawn endgame. Mind-blowing. The last two positions are absolutely mind-blowing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, absolutely no doubt about that. Next one is black to play. Calculate it. Let's take a look at the material. Queen for both, couple of rooks for both, 3 minor pieces for both, and 6 pawns to 6 pawns for both. So material balance. Both have the bishop pair. Both have got the bishop pair. Our queen is under attack. My voice and everything is perfect. There is no lag as well. So check the connection from your side. Everything is perfect. Vyang with some ideas. Vyang is saying, let's take the bishop. Vyang is just saying, just take the bishop. That's it. Queen takes g2 check. King takes g2. Knight f4, which is a double check. And king g1 and knight f3 is checkmate. Soumitra with a miscalculation. He thinks that knight f4 itself is mate. No, he has king g1. And after king g1, then it is knight h3 checkmate. And Soumitra retracts his message. Vihang says that was super easy. Knight, this check is making the difference. Knight to f4 check. Not knight takes e3, by the way. Don't think that knight takes e3 is a good move because we will win the queen. It's a double check from that square as well. But knight f4 leads to checkmate. Above 1400, guys, this is important. Knight takes e3 check is also a double check. Yes, we will win the queen, but haven't we already given up our queen? For what purpose? Not for the exchange, for the checkmate. So knight to f4 is the deal. So knight f4 check, double check, king g1 and knight h3 is a beautiful checkmate. Look at the way this is. This is nice. I mean, aesthetics. Seriously, amazing. Beautiful this. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, now we are going to go to the next one. This is white to play. Let's see if you can see what's special with this one. Queen for both, 2 rooks for both, 2 minor pieces for white, 3 for black. Material difference, 5 pawns, 6 pawns for white, beg your pardon, and 6 pawns for black. White is a piece down here, but white is winning. How? White is winning, and how? I would appreciate if Vihang and Soumitra give others a chance for this one. Just hold on for some time for this one. Chinmay, Samartha, Itesh, Disan, Jay, those guys above 1400. Oh, you've qualified now for this batch. Disan says queen takes h7 check, king takes h7, knight g5 check, king h8, knight takes f7 checkmate. This is absolutely brilliant. Whoa, 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 whoa. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Listen. Outstanding. Yep. Perfect. I appreciate the fact that, Disan actually made the attempt. It's important that everybody participates. It's not just one that fellow that should do the thinking, okay? Next one is white to play. Let's do some material count. Queen for both, 2 rooks for both, 1 minor piece for both. White has got 5 pawns. Black has got 7 pawns. Black is up material. And it is white to play and win. Some ideas. Yes, Itesh, that was good of the sun. Come on now. Can we win this one? How? Looks interesting this. Remember my principle. Both the rooks are in attack. Bishop and queen are into attack. There is a pawn on h6, which is wonderful. Humongous lead on the king side with just the black king, and that rook doing nothing on f8. Possible winning chances. You know, when you look at such positions, you instantaneously realize There's something is there. There is definitely something. Knight d6 you are thinking, okay. Okay. Soumitra admits she was considering knight d6 for the last one as well. So what's up with this one? Somewhere down the line, you should think about sacrificing on g6. The question really is how to go about it. Queen takes g6, rook takes g6, bishop takes g6. Soumitra with some ideas. Bishop takes g6, h takes g6. So it's not said what happens if f takes, but anyway. Bishop takes g6, h takes g6, rook takes g6, queen takes g6. So bishop takes, then h takes, then rook takes, then f takes, king h8, and queen g7 checkmate. Wow. Now what happens after bishop g6 if f takes g6? The same idea? Is it the same idea? And after bishop takes g6, what if black does not take the bishop? What if black does not take the bishop? Could be a possibility. Let's analyze it all in every way, in all directions. Bishop takes g6, okay. What if black does not take on g6? Whether it's h takes or f takes doesn't matter. What if black does not take on g6? Some thought, huh? Some thought. Now Vyang can come into the game. I only said that you should wait for the, during the last position, not this one. If f takes, then still the same idea. Rook takes g8, yeah, okay. What if, so now the only question is, what if black does not take the bishop? Then bishop takes h7 is the plan. So bishop takes g6. He has taken with the f pawn. See how things go. Now rook takes g6 and he has moved the king. Now let's see how many people can calculate this until finish from this point. Now this position has just become so much interesting now. From this position, it is even more interesting. You should love the finish here. How are we going to finish in this position? Mate in 3 from here, possible. Mate in 3 from here. Rook g8 check, rook takes g8, queen f6 check, rook g7, rook queen takes g7. That's absolutely amazing. So look at this calculation here. It is rook g8 check, it's queen support, so the king has to really, the rook has to take. Then there is queen f6 check, rook blocks the check, oops. Rook blocks the check, and then there is queen takes g7 mate with the help of this pawn on h6. Let me execute that on the board. Rook, oh no! Oh, we missed the queen thing. Overconfidence, huh? At its very best. At its Vihang's best. At its Vihang's best. OMG. OMG. At its Vihang's best. And this one is going to go for Vihang. Now you all know I'm going to play this. So the seniors are thinking that everything is so simple. I don't need to think about anything. I'm 2100. That's it. Chess is over for me. I've solved chess. No, you haven't. You haven't, my dear. You haven't. The way to go is first to take here, maybe. That's why you have to think and not be overconfident at times. Even Soumitra is guilty, not just you. Even he said rook g8 check. That's wrong. Not rook g8 check here. It's wrong. Oh, the anguish, the agony, the excruciating pain. I could flaunt my vocabulary. By the way, that reminds me, Soumitra, you can watch the simple complex compound video on the English channel, buddy. So now what? Rook g8 is out of question. Do we play rook takes f8 check? Is that possible? Do we play rook takes f8 check? The seniors are suddenly into a big thinking mode here. Like, what just happened? What just happened there? Rook takes f8, rook takes f8, rook takes d6. That is just to stop. Well, if you play rook takes d6, there is rook f1 check, king h2. See how many possibilities open up with one move that goes wrong. Then after that, he can play rook f1 check, king h2. Whoa. Some crazy ideas, right? And then what about queen g8? Oh, he has queen g8. I forgot that. He can have queen g8. So rook takes f8, rook takes f8, rook takes d6, queen g8. He has queen g8. No? Yeah? Possibilities, possibilities. My question really now is, why not rook f6 here? Why not rook f6 immediately, threatening queen g7 mate? What do you do to that? Why not rook f6 right now? Like right now. Will that work is the question. And if yes, whoa, Soumitra is saying, Punekar, there is some distractions. Buddy, what are the distractions? Okay, anyway, try as much as you can for the next 10 minutes. And later, ooh, Vardhan with vocabulary, huh? Flabbergastingness. Flabbergastingness. Ooh, I like that. Flabbergastingness. Okay, rook gf6. Then there is rook g8. Ooh. So things are not looking all that great, are they? Or how about rook g7 now? Now this is another option I'm throwing at you. How about rook g7? Then the idea is to sacrifice the rook on h7 and then go for queen g7 mate. Do you like that idea? How about rook g7 first? Think about that. Okay, after that, rook f8. After what? Rook f8. Okay, yeah, the rook will be pinned. I agree with that, but still, okay. Rook g7 again. There is, he says, there is rook g8. Okay. And now let's divide it into two camps. I always like you guys to be divided. The blue camp, okay, and the green camp, and the red camp, and the chrome camp. You are divided now into 4 groups. It's like almost your school with the red house, blue house, green house. I don't know if your school has that. Let me know. Team green. Soumitra says team green there. Vihang, what would you like? Chinmay, Itesh is saying go green. Jay is saying I have that. Yeah, so Jay, what house do you belong to? Dishan is saying team red. Soumitra also has the house system in the school. Chinmay is saying team blue. Jay is saying team blue. Take that rook on f8 first. Granth is saying green camp. Taking on F8 is the correct way to go. So all the other camps switch to the blue camp. The blue camp is winning. And now at least calculate what comes after this. Vyang with an idea says, now let us play rook takes d6. If queen g8, then queen takes e5 check. We're forgetting about that, because then the pawn on e5 is not defended by the pawn on d6. So what Vyang is saying is, after we play the rook takes d6 move, even if black goes about g8, then we have this move queen takes e5 check, because the pawn on e5 will be missing. And by the way, it's a nice time for Soumitra to realize how cruel chess is. If there are distractions, then you cannot play your 100%. Happens to me sometimes when you're streaming and managing everything and you play, ooh, and when I play one-on-one, different things. All right, so now rook takes d6. Instead of that, he just went queen to f7. My question now is, do we still play the move indicated in the blue? Do we still go for that? Because now he has king g8 if we do that. What's up with that? What's up with that, guys? Now what? This is still not over. This is still not over. So what happens now? Do I still take that e5 pawn? Do I play rook d8? He has queen f1 check. He has queen f1 check. Don't forget that. If you give black the opportunity, he has queen f1 check, king h2, and he again has queen f4 check. Let's not be overconfident here. Things, guys, are tricky. Still, Vyang says, let's take that. If king g8, then there is queen g5 check. And the same mating pattern follows. I agree with you. I was hoping he would go king g8, and again the same idea. So hats off, Vyang is doing really well, but the blue camp won it. The blue camp won it. Make no mistake, the blue camp won it. That there is no doubt about, boss. That there is no doubt about. Okay, and well, now let's deal with next position. That's white to play. Let's do the material count. Queen for black but not white. Rook for both. 3 minor pieces for white to compensate for the queen. 1 for black. And then there are 5 pawns to 6 pawns. White to play here. This position reminds me of my grandfather, because he was always somebody who in my childhood taught me the importance of attacking the king side. You have got 3 to 4 pieces now, including the rook on e3, both the bishops, the knight. Well, they all are lined up against the black king there. So, I mean, you got to love such positions. So now with this position, what's up? White to play here though. So Mitra is saying just play e6 and e6 wins on the spot. Let's calculate something else. What if we go for something that is forced? So Mitra, why not bishop takes f7 check, where queen takes f7 is forced? Knight takes f7, king takes f7. We both have rook and minor piece. But the difference is black will have 2 passed pawns. That's why e6 is the move. But then if you play e6, got to give something for black. So now we are divided into 2 camps. One is this red camp, bishop takes f7. The other one is the blue camp. As of now, there are only two camps. There's no third camp. So if you play e6, you have to give a token move for black. What do you think black will do here? Vyang says it's e6, then black plays h6, e takes f7 check, queen takes f7, then knight takes f7. King f8, knight h6 check. What? Vyang's plan is a little confusing. And there are many people in the red camp who want to win the queen. They say win the queen. The guys in the red camp are saying win the queen. That's all we know, sir. Win the queen there. That's it. Let's go for it. Win the queen. Win the queen, huh? Win the queen. What's up? Again, I'm saying if you play e6, I'm okay with that. But what does black play? Why will black play h6? Is there no better move than to allow e takes f7? Why not something else? Why not knight going somewhere or pawn push? Chinmay also likes the blue camp. Okay, here we go. E6 is the right move. H6 is the best. Yes, you take. By the way, the computer just asked me to stop then and there. I would have loved to calculate this. Even bishop takes is winning. I would have taken with the bishop. I would have taken with the bishop. And now for the last position for today. Okay, this is the last position for today. And we are looking at white to play position. This is the last position for today. Quick material analysis. Queen for both, two rooks for both, two bishops extra for black. Two bishops. Okay, two pieces, two minor pieces. And there is 6 pawns for 5 pawns. All right. Let's see. What can be done here? What can be done here? Is it as simple as just taking the bishop on f6? That's it? Just taking the bishop on f6? Is that so easy, guys? That's it? That's it? Queen takes f6? That's it? Queen takes f6? Now what? Go on. It doesn't end here. Does not end here. That's why I encourage you guys to do a full analysis. Yeah, queen takes f6. Now king g8. And now what? No, queen takes f6 is right. Not h6. Because then he would have blocked it with the bishop. This one. Bishop g7. Now what? Queen takes f6. We won a piece. King g8. And now rook d8 check. Rook takes d8. That's right. Double attack. Notice rook takes. And then there is only one defense. So rook takes, queen takes. Absolutely brilliant. Let's do one more, guys, because we ended this position quickly. Let's end it with this position. This one is black to play, not white to play. Queen for both, two rooks for both, minor piece, bishop for both. It is 5 pawns to 4 pawns. But it's black to play. So is it just queen takes c4? Is it just queen takes c4? Is that simple? Queen takes c4. We're winning the rook. What about white counterplay with f takes g7 check? Anything in that area? Interesting. What say, guys? What say? Bishop takes d4. Bishop takes d4. Then it will be rook takes d4. That will be disaster. This son, what are you talking about? Let's deal with this and we'll stop. Queen takes c4. King takes pawn. Queen check. Now should I block it with the rook? No, I shouldn't. I swear. Why is that? Because he is then going to win the rook. And finally the king going on f7. Alright then guys. We'll stop for now. Remember what I said, seniors. When we meet on Thursday, I'm going to play games. Better perform on Thursday. We are going to make you ready for tournaments. Omkar sir won all 12 games. Huh? By the way, Saumitra, did you play yesterday? I am not sure. Ojas did not play yesterday. That we have established. So we will meet tomorrow for the lecture for the under 1400 guys. We are going to continue with the opening problems for them. And we will meet tomorrow. Take care. Saumitra, hopefully there are no distractions on Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.